Hello to whoever's watching. Thank you for watching. So today, I would like to talk about the energy of grace. It's a very interesting, nebulous kind of concept, and yet we know it when we see it. We see it in, the most majestic sports players. When they really get in that zone, they seem so graceful, as if there's minimum effort, as if they're artists or painters. They're not necessarily grunting or striving or trying very hard. Things seem to be just flowing so easily for them. Or, you can see that in dances. Some of the most beautiful dancers are simply just magnetic to watch. There's a magnetism about their easeful movements. So, grace is magnetic. But what is it, and how do we get more graceful? So, grace is basically intuitively inspired action. So, rather than effortful action, it is something that's inspired. It is something that's coming from a different place that's calling us to act in a specific way. In other words, you could say, it is embodied flow. Because when we're flowing, we're not really striving or trying to get very structured about it. It just happens. So, how do we get graceful? When I work with people who are struggling, let's say with tiredness or exhaustion or with feeling burnt out, we often work towards getting them towards this place of easeful action, towards grace. And so when we strip away their need, the compulsive need to do, their traumatized sense of self around, I have to do, otherwise I'm not safe. When I get them safe enough, they're able to drop into this, I've spoken about this in a previous video, into a place of non-doing. That's the start. This empty, spacious, present, still, easeful place. And from that place, intuition or source or whatever you want to call it comes in and gives us some kind of inspiration, some kind of message, some kind of call to action usually. And we just feel it as a pull, as a magnetism, as a draw, that that's the right thing to do. And we don't think about doing it, we simply enact what we're called to do. So this energy almost animates us. It comes in, it's a divine, let's call it a divine energy, comes in, or at least it's an external energy. Intuition can be called internal. It doesn't really matter what we call it. It's just not coming from the mind or from trauma or from striving. It's coming from inspiration. And when it animates us, in a sense, we are like willing puppets. We allow ourselves to be a vehicle to another energy, which always works to serve us and to serve others, to everybody's highest good. And so when we move in that way, when we're moved to move in that way, there's an etherealness to it. There's a beauty to it. Because it's not coming from the ego, it's not coming from the striving. It's coming from some other place. And that is why it's magnetic. And that is grace. That is a graceful expression of the divine, we can call it, or of our highest self, whatever's most comfortable for you. So when I work with people about getting them to that place, just helping them get into the void, into the emptiness, and then to wait, to be patient, to drop the need for waiting, really. But then the inspiration comes, and there's a call to action. Another aspect of this is in intention. And what's the place of intention? When we're healthily grounded in intention, when we drop into a place of non-doing and we hold a strong intention for something, all that's saying is, look, I want to filter out, I don't want to get every message and any message from intuition or source or higher self. It's about narrowing it down, it's about filtering it. So let's say I hold an intention for a creative pursuit today. And I stay in this place of emptiness without trying to work out what to do, which is something that I'm prone to doing. But if I'm able to get into that place and hold that intention deep inside myself, then a message, an answer will come from some other place. All of a sudden I'll see or feel or know and feel drawn towards acting in a certain way, in a certain pursuit, in a certain direction. And when I listen to that, when I follow that, the action itself and the pursuit itself becomes graceful, becomes easeful, becomes productive. And this is what embodied divinity, if you want to call it that, is. It is grace in our lives. That is how we don't get burnt out. Because in some way, we're not even using a lot of our inner resources. We're using this other energy that comes into us. If you speak to anyone who feels very much possessed by a higher calling, or graceful or easeful, whether in sports, in any pursuit, in acting, in entrepreneurship, they will generally feel, they'll generally tell you, and I know this when I'm, let's say, healing, or when I'm speaking in front of a group and I'm in that space and I'm totally just channeling what comes through, that not only is it magnetic and impactful, because it's not even coming from me, but also it's energizing, it's deeply invigorating, it's revitalizing. So I don't feel drained, and a lot of them don't feel drained. Sure, you could say in sports or in dancing, they might feel physically tired after their exertions, but in some other way, they feel deeply nourished, deeply fed, as if they've just drank from a divine well. So that's what we want to be moving towards, I believe, to be graceful in everything that we do, in our manual tasks at home, in the washing of the dishes, and in our work pursuits, and in our lovemaking, where there is no performance, there is no trying, simply graceful, inspired movement from a place of stillness, a place of intuition, a place of inspiration. If you'd like to help, if you'd like some help getting more graceful, as funny as that sounds, or just working on being more easeful in your life, more restful in your life, more conservative with your energy in your life, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and hit subscribe if you're into the content down below in the link. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to wherever you may happen to be watching this video.